year. I was speaking at Worcester last Sunday, and there was a jumper cable emergency there too. I don't know what that means metaphysically, but we can talk about it. Well, we are well into this spring series on putting spiritual principles into practice. So it might be good to start by remembering the basic premise. Unity is a movement centered in universal spiritual principles. We believe that Jesus Christ both taught and demonstrated these principles throughout his life and ministry, and that great teachers on every religious path have embraced and taught the same principles. We believe that these universal principles are for the purpose of guiding us to an understanding of our own divine nature and to the tangible ways in which we can express that nature in this human experience. We recognize in unity and appreciate the Bible as a great roadmap and travel guide, divinely inspired to support and reassure us as the often fearful and confusing journey unfolds. The purpose of it all is always to be moving upward in consciousness, creating that thrilling new dimension of understanding and expression that Jesus describes as the kingdom of heaven. Today we're focused on the third principle, spirit and creativity. Now, creativity isn't a part of our lives like work or family or politics, although it certainly can involve all of that. It isn't just about the books we write or the songs we sing or the landscapes we paint, although it certainly involves all of that. It isn't just about appreciating those who have committed their lives to, quote, being creative, close quote. The artists, musicians, actors, authors, whose talent and work we love and admire, although they are certainly the cutting edge of everything we need to know and believe about our own creative powers. Creativity isn't a part of life. It's how we live all of life. We don't need to ask how to bring spirituality into creativity. They're one and the same. There is no true creativity without spirituality. And spirituality, by its very nature, is always creative. I always remember when I was in my final year of ministerial school, the church in Evanston, Illinois, invited me to come up to lead a panel on a Saturday morning and afternoon. And the theme was using the arts in ministry. And I led through the morning and I was feeling very uncomfortable with it. It just didn't feel right. So on the lunch break, I drove over a little ways to the lake and sat by Lake Michigan and just opened myself for guidance. And it was one of those moments you never forget in your life because the guidance became very clear. The question is never about using the arts in ministry. The question is how can we minister to the arts? And out of that came the ministry I called Spirit Expressing. And it's been a part of my life ever since. Whatever church I've served, Spirit Expressing has been a part of that church, part of that ministry. We have done plays, we have done movies, we have done concerts of all kinds, and it all stemmed from that realization that there is no separation between creativity and spirituality. It isn't about using our creative abilities, it's about expanding them. It's about getting in touch with them and expanding them. I believe that creativity is really the name of our sacred commitment to the divine. We can only truly create by expressing our own inner divinity. Now, we can make things. Making and creating are two different things. We can make things and experiences out of lack consciousness. We can construct whole political, economic, religious systems, for that matter, out of fear, judgment, shame, and other negative illusions. These things and experiences and systems will last as long as we are fearful of them. They will dissolve as soon as we stop giving them power. And that's a truth that we are, I think, more in touch with than ever in this generation. It's been a while now, but I think the clearest demonstration of that was the falling of the Berlin Wall. Nothing happened, no army conquered any other army to make that happen. The people just decided they were sick of it. They were tired of having the damn wall in their backyard, and so they said, let's take it down. And brick by brick, they did. Creation comes from a deeper dimension of ourselves. It is truer. It is somehow simpler. It is always an expression of our innate divinity. And we can inadvertently make a lot of messes and scary situations in life. They will come and go, and if we choose, if we approach them properly, they will offer us important lessons to help us on our journey to wholeness. When we create, however, what we create is as eternal as we are. It is an eternal expression of the power of God, because it is the power of God in us, as us, that creates it. Everything that we create from our divinity becomes a part of the kingdom of heaven. And that's what I mean when I say that this is part of our divine commitment. It's why we're here. It's why we as spiritual beings chose to come into human form, to create a new consciousness, which Jesus called the kingdom of heaven. And we do that choice by creative choice. We do that not by searching for the kingdom down the road somewhere or trying to earn it. We do it by creating it, a choice at a time. Creating from our divinity is never accidental. It requires conscious choice. And while creativity itself can be simple, it requires work to find within us that divinity that is the source of all creation. It requires discipline and practice to learn how to express that divinity through our human form and nature. Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, related this creative process to the 7 days of creation in the first chapter of Genesis. It begins with the light, an awareness in consciousness of a new creative possibility. This isn't light on a broad scale. We haven't created the sun and the moon yet. Just light, just a pinpoint of new possibility. It next requires faith in that possibility. In the Bible, the second day, God creates a firmament between heaven and earth. And the belief in that time, the scientific belief in that time, was that there was a bowl over the earth, and heaven was somewhere on the other side of it. There were holes where the stars shone through. So it's about having faith that there is something above that firmament, having faith that God has created the firmament and there is energy on both sides. The light awakens our imagination to the wonderful possibilities of light expressing. This is the day of the creation of earth and plants, the richness of life around us. And then with the twin powers of will and understanding, we begin to explore our options. That's the day in which the sun and the moon are created. With discrimination, we focus in on that which we are called to create. It's like the fisherman in Jesus' great parable who draws in his net and then sorts through it and throws back the fish that are too small to be of service right now, keeps those that will serve. We do the same thing. We sift through our creative thoughts and we look for the ones that are most obvious, that are most calling to us. And the rest will express, we put them back, we don't throw them away, but we focus on the ones that are ours to do in the moment. And then we make that creative choice. Mr. Fillmore calls this the concentration in man of all the ideas of divine mind. That is the sixth day, when man is created, according to that fable. And then we relax. And it's always important to remember that God didn't create in 6 days and then take a day off. He created in 7 days, according to the parable. Relaxation, being at rest, releasing the tension of creating is an important part of the process. We release all the tension that comes from our well-meaning attempts to make it so ourselves, so that the power of God can flow freely in calm and confidence to create the new piece of the kingdom that we have created. This same process, consciously applied, allows every choice in your life to become an opportunity to create another piece of the kingdom. Every choice. No, nothing is too minor to be chosen creatively. Are you going to go downstairs after this service and join our social time downstairs? We certainly hope you all are. What will you choose to eat? There's always a lot there. Will you choose to make your hunger go away by feeding it too much now out of some deep, maybe childhood-based fear that there might not be enough to go around, or there might not be any food available later? Or will you allow your creative process to guide you to choices that will create a healthy, confident body to serve your divinity? Now, either is absolutely fine. No judgment at all, as long as we know and enjoy what we're doing. Consciousness is everything. I remember years and years ago, it's been over 40 years now, I think, since I stopped smoking. But some of the advice I got when I was starting to try to stop smoking, somebody said to me, make sure you enjoy every cigarette you smoke. Don't smoke from feeling guilty or feeling, blaming yourself or feeling bad. Enjoy each cigarette. It will help the habit to release much more quickly, and indeed it did. So life becomes a glorious journey to wellness, journey to wholeness, when we bring this creative power to bear on our every choice, no matter how apparently insignificant. It makes every day more fun, doesn't it? To know that I'm not just making choices to get by through the day, I'm making choices to create the kingdom. It's my job, it's why I'm here, it's what I'm doing. So, please don't listen to our amazing musicians here, or go see a movie or play or concert and think, gee, I wish I could be that creative. You can. It's not the true purpose of any artist to impress us with how special he or she really is. The true purpose of every artist is to awaken the artist in us, the artist in everyone, so that the creative energy that flows so publicly and lavishly through them can flow privately and equally lavishly through us. Let it be so. Embrace the creative power of God wherever you see it expressing. Open your heart to it, open your mind to it, and then bring that same creative intention to bear on every choice that every day offers you. This is the third of our basic principles, the middle principle. It's the one that divides us from so much else, so many other belief systems on the planet. We take responsibility for the fact that we're here. We take responsibility for the choices we make. And we learn, and it takes some time, it takes some practice. We learn how to make those choices align with the kingdom of heaven, so that we are truly fulfilling our sacred purpose, whatever it is we're doing. Whatever it is we're doing. You're driving home from here and you allow somebody to cut in front of you, creating the kingdom. That is creating the kingdom if you choose to do it. I mean, if you let them cut in front of you and swear at them and say something, that probably wouldn't work. But if you just say, okay, I'm not in that much of a hurry, go ahead, cut in front of me. Creating the kingdom. Every choice is creating the kingdom. Any thoughts or questions? It's pretty clear, isn't it? Once you're exposed to it, it's like, well, duh. Of course. Why else would I be here as a spiritual being in this body? Why else would I be here except to do the divine work of creation, to continue the process of creation And we do that by creating the next dimension of life expressing, the next dimension of possibility, the kingdom of heaven. So be with that. Be with the third step this time. Next time we'll be looking at the power of prayer. And that's another area where unity is very distinct and very distinctive. So we'll have some fun with that the next time. In the meantime, many blessings.